Is God responsible for tornadoes? Why would he do that? These questions are so. We haven't even welcomed the people to the latest edition of TNT yet. So, welcome to the latest edition of TNT. Boom!
Boom.
I'm Pastor Joe. This is the great Michael LaMelle the first. And as we do every week, we want to welcome you. We want to tell you how much we love you and appreciate you. We want to admonish and encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend, like they used to say at Farm Fresh with the great Gene Walters, and all that good stuff. It's Tuesday night teaching, Tuesday night theology.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a topic that we are trying to bring to you tonight. And the people want to talk about something else, tornadoes and things. So let's talk about
Let's talk about it.
why would God do what? What is it that God did? Would he allow a tornado to um, touch down and uh, do damage to people? Uh, well, we could, I guess, counter that question with why would God choose to protect the 4 million people that he protected when the tornado could have taken us all out? Uh, we're all uh, a few seconds away from certain disaster at any moment, particularly as you study weather and understand certain things uh, about winds and waves.
Mm-hmm.
A tidal wave could hit and for hundreds of miles have life altering damage. And it seems as if for most of us, we are protected from those every single day. And you really only understand uh, the grace that is afforded to you in the protection in the face of these kind of tragedies, I guess that you would say, that happened and happened to people. And to, I don't know why God would allow a tornado to touch down um, any more than anybody can, unless you really talk to him and he told you directly. Um, but uh, there are there it is certain that we are protected from much more than we probably ever really understand. And so, uh, did they have tornadoes in the Bible? Of course, they had tornadoes in the Bible. Elijah was caught up in one.
Boom. Javon Baker.
Yep, Pastor Cutler, Deacon Boyd, Evangelist Gatlin, my dear sister Tracy, Superintendent Woolard. I was talking, I failed to give y'all all the shout outs. And my wife again
Please
is
make
over there.
sure we shout everybody out. Please,
If
please.
we don't hit you, you know what I'm saying, charge it to the head, but we try to get
And
everybody.
people really would be you. They got want to be shouted out.
You're you're passionate about being with us, and we like that. We appreciate that. My dear cousin
Man,
from Kentucky, the Derby's coming in a few. Ain't that this weekend, cuz down there?
Kentucky Derby.
Kentucky Derby.
Does he ride horses?
I don't think so. He never told me. He does jump out of airplanes. That's real, like for real. Did that for a career.
Does that give him joy or happiness?
I don't know. We should let him at. Oh, he said he does ride horses. He said, "Yep." And question for you, cuz, does or did jumping out of airplanes give you happiness, joy, either or, or both?
Right, right.
Because that is really our main subject tonight. Look, we got a sub subject, main topic tonight. We got a subtopic that anybody can join in on if they so desire
I think
tonight.
that's part of the novelty of TNT is that everybody has a voice and can jump in. You can ask questions in real time. We do our best to address it, um, and work with it in real time
Yep.
without allowing anyone to commandeer the conversation, but we collectively do it, all of us together.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's
Absolutely.
good.
My brother, born, of course. How you doing? Definitions, please. What definitions are we looking for, Superintendent Williams?
Yes,
Maybe he's talking about the definitions of
of joy
happiness and
and
joy.
joy.
I would assume.
Yep.
Y'all just hitting the gas tonight. You
Well,
know we're gonna give you the definitions
right,
at some point
right,
in time.
right. Let's go to
Cuzzo said excitement. He said
excitement.
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 Yep.
So, I have here. Uh, I think my whole jank went to. Is it up here? All right. I had it up here. Happiness and joy. Um, 4 levels of happiness. I guess I took it off. Let's look at joy. I was starting with one and then going to the other. So let's define these. I want to give do it biblically, I guess, but I want to give a specific um, basic answer, very that everybody can just kind of glean from and even memorize um, about this joy and happiness. That's what I was trying to put up there for you guys, but it's not as big. Let me see if I could do it here. It is, there it is. It's not as big as I would like, but what it says is happiness is a feeling based on circumstances. I have it in my notes as well. And joy is an attitude that defies circumstances. All right? Happiness, a feeling based on circumstances. And joy, an attitude that defies circumstances. What do you think about that, Reverend?
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting.
so do I. How so? You think there's any truth in that?
Um, well, I think that in the context of how these terms are typically defined, that idea, that concepts holds true, and that I would surmise that most people would say that happiness can be fleeting, because if you're happy, then you can obviously be unhappy.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
But if you have joy, the song says, "This joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world can't take it away." It's very. I don't even know if the whole idea of, it's not, there really isn't an unjoy. I mean, I guess you could be depressed, which maybe might be the opposite of joy. You could be despondent. You could be down. Maybe. I mean, you could be unnerved. Uh, you could be, I guess, angry. I mean, I don't know if these things are consistent with the antonym of joy, but I think that that's probably what most people, particularly church people, would say. Happiness is more emotionally driven. Joy is more, probably say, spiritually driven.
That's where I was trying to get to in that part right there. Very specifically, look at this thing that I pulled up. It's happiness versus joy.
All right.
Happiness is external and joy is internal. Like we said a minute ago, happiness is dependent on circumstances and joy is independent of circumstances. Kind of like truth. It's just independent. It's its own thing.
Right.
Happiness is connected to and part of an emotional response. Mm. Joy is an act of the will. This was from a psychological, biblical, what psychological site. It was, yeah,
Uh
but
huh.
it was very interesting.
Right.
Happiness is having what you want.
Hmm.
The world promotes that.
Absolutely.
Not what you need, but what you want. Joy is wanting what you have, like enjoying it. I often say that it's never enough. People want more than what they have. Oh, why is that, Reverend?
We live in
You
America,
think it's
man.
true?
Of course.
People always want, they most times want what they part that they don't have, or they want more than what they have. And so that leads to unhappiness
Hmm.
and lack of joy. Mm. Happiness is external euphoria. Joy is inner contentment. Hmm. Happiness is effect, joy is cause. Happiness is result, joy is foundation or fundamental. Hmm. Happiness is inconsistent. Ain't that the truth?
Hmm.
Joy is consistent. Happiness is temporary. You use the word fleeting. Joy is eternal.
Got some comments from the
Yes,
Facebook
sir.
side of things.
What say you
One of them
guys?
say, Rich Jern says joy is a state of mind and spirituality. Tracy says happiness internal, joy external. And Superintendent Willard says your circumstance has a lot to do with your mindset, motivation, and happiness.
Mm.
Very interesting.
Very. When we say happiness is temporal, it's temporary, it's fleeting. Uh, I was saying in my notes that happiness is a choice. I had a question mark. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Happiness is a choice, and joy is a state of is a state of being with parenthetic. I think I've sent that to you before. Yeah, sent you
You
the
might
part
have.
of the notes.
You might have.
Happiness is a choice, and joy is a state, which would be kind of akin to a lot of these, but right up in this area. Uh, hmm. Let's look at. Oh, you all wanted a Bible verse. Let's get to James 1 and 2. It's right there.
James.
James 1 verse 2. Let's read it, shall we? My brethren, who is this talking, Reverend?
This
James,
is
huh?
James, Jesus'
Talking to the
brother.
brethren, my and sisterin.
That's it.
My brethren, count it all. We usually stop when we say that and repeat it so we can really reiterate that, right? All joy when you fall into divers temptations. Reverend, what does divers mean?
Different, many, varying.
So count it all joy when you fall into different varying temptations. All, not some. Man, can a temptation be a hardship?
They're absolutely hardships. If there's the wrong thing that you're tempted by. Because if it's the wrong thing and you're tempted by it, it's going to be hard to resist it.
Man, my brethren, count it all joy. So let's look back at what joy is one more time. Just this is for me. I figure tonight, if I talk more about me, can't nobody get mad.
Talk.
But some people will still because they're choosing to be unhappy. That's an emotional response, as we just went over, right? But joy is an act of the will. I want us to be encouraged, talking to me, us, me, myself, and I. That's the us. To be encouraged on our will, our act of the will. Um, there's a word that says self-control,
Mhm.
act of the will. All joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Joy, internal, independent of circumstances, act of the will, wanting what you have. Inner contentment. How many of us are content? We have inner contentment. We don't either have inner contentment or external euphoria. How so? I think the world is promoting the confusion and discord of that. What say you?
We have a world that is filled with a lot of emotional impulses
Mm.
that are supposed to make people happy, that is supposed to help them uh, stay away from uh, suicide, that are supposed to help them feel uh, better about themselves.
Mm.
And it's very interesting because the promotion of these things is that you should kind of do what you feel,
It is.
do what you want, because those things will make you happy. Um, I'm really intrigued by this conversation tonight because I am of the opinion that you can be unhappy and still have joy.
Yeah, I think I am too.
um,
Hmm.
and I think that I'm probably in the minority who feels like happiness uh, gets a bad rap sometimes. That we will exalt joy as we should because of all of the things that is kind of at the expense of happiness. And
Mm.
I'm not certain that even biblically, um, that's what I read. Now I read the Bible different than everybody, but again, I'm me. So I'm gonna let Mike keep talking about himself, then I'll talk about myself after.
Man.
But I
Well,
think it's very significant. I love this.
let me do a parallel right quick in my notes.
Go to it.
We often use the terms happiness and joy interchangeably, but are they really the same thing? And superintendent said what?
Happiness is a feeling, joy is a state of being.
That's exactly what I said. Right. Happiness and joy are seemingly similar, but actually quite different. Can, guys, can be happy and still have joy. Really? Help us. We already try to work
I'll
it.
get to it. We're gonna get to it.
Happiness and joy are seemingly similar, but actually quite different. That's the first point in understanding this, because we often, in their similarities, group them together and don't operate with them separately. Praise and worship, they're separate, but we often pair them together, and then we're unable to separate them.
Right.
Wisdom and understanding, separate. Uh, so yeah, I don't know, just but it's a list of things that we pair together, but we should have a basic uh they are similar, but we start with the understanding that they're different.
Yeah, grace and mercy. I mean,
Grace
they're
and
linked.
mercy. They
Not
are
the same.
right.
They're twins, but they're not the same.
Interchangeable. So yeah, I hope that helps. The key point being um that God promises joy, but he never promises us happiness. Being happy is an emotion, just like sadness or jealousy or fear. You can jump in at any time. It's just mine. What do I know?
Go
It's
ahead.
just
Keep going.
my pionic notes. It is fleeting. You might be happy about something, but you're not going to be continually happy forever. Happiness is great, but we can get happiness from a lot of things, even earthly things. Joy, on the other hand, is a long lasting state of being. Joy is promised by God and something we should strive towards. In Hebrews 12 and 2, it states, for the joy set before him, and he endured the cross. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God.
That scripture I think is a fantastic scripture, which I think is the essence of what I was saying. Was that Sister Cheryl? In that I am certain that when Jesus was being smacked by hands that he helped create, that he spoke into existence,
you hurt him right there. You just the way you painted that, just right
that was not a happy time for him. I'm certain that he probably wasn't smiling. Let's just be honest. If you were to probably read the scriptures and tell any psychologist, psychiatrist to do a personality profile of Jesus from what we see from the scriptures, doesn't really seem like he was that happy of a guy, period. The Bible in Isaiah calls him a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief.
Yeah.
You don't really see a lot of times where Jesus was doing a lot of he, chi, chi, ha, ha, ha stuff, right?
Right.
There were times where he was moved to tears,
Man.
but we don't really see like this happy guy, right? And you
was he given to idle chatter?
I mean, we don't really have a lot of record of it. If he was, I mean, I'm certain that it couldn't have been all ministry all the time,
right?
But it just seems like from the scripture what we have.
That was a good scripture you picked, by the way, Isaiah.
Oh yeah,
I mean that was
yeah. There were times when he would get respite and retreat and spend time with his father, and he would say that his will was to do the will of the Father, but we just didn't see like it doesn't appear to me and to anybody I think that has done armchair psychology that Jesus was happy all the time. You know what I mean? Or what we would call happy all the time. And I'm sure that when he was in those moments, or even fussing with the disciples about their lack of faith, and how long does he have to hang out here? Because you have to understand that him being here in a physical body had to feel like a prison at all times when you were in glory from eternity. No matter what you were doing, walking on water, changing water to wine has to feel terrible to an extent. Because if you just think about it, most of the time, if anybody has seen a vision of heaven, they don't come back. Once they get a glimpse and God shows them, they don't come back. So, but there was joy, right? There was a sense of, I think, purpose. I'm gonna say contentment. But I think when you are driven by purpose, I think when you're driven by purpose, you can deal with it. Give you an example from me and turn it back over to the great Michael LaMelle.
No. Keep it, sir.
I'm doing this 3,000 push-up challenge for the month of May for St. Jude's or whatever.
I didn't know. I mean, to get in on
come on, get in, man. So you basically do 100 push-ups a day or whatever, right?
I'm doing myself a walking challenge. So I'm working on that.
So I just started yesterday. I'm not, the little athlete that I used to be. As a matter of fact, one of my students told me today, Mr. Williams, you look like you about 4 months pregnant. And so
he didn't say that.
She was a little girl.
Really?
So funny. But she was getting me. She was getting me. And so right now I'm a little bit, but she started it. I ain't even, what I'm saying? I just let it go. Right. I thought it was funny. Anyway, I'm a little sore, right? And when I go down, I'm not smiling because there's some pain there, right? But I know that at the end of the month, I'm going to feel very accomplished if I hit my goal. My clothes may fit a little better. I might lose this baby that I have in my stomach a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So there's a purpose to it where the pain of it will subside. And the joy, I think, is what drives us. I think that's what drove Jesus.
What's the difference between joy and contentment? Elder Ruth says, joy
all right, good.
Is a state, like I was saying. You can be contentment is more connected to the happiness, the external part, because you can become not content with things, with people, with circumstances, and the joy is unmovable. Contentment is temporary, based on something. It can be even a choice. Like, I'm not content anymore.
Right. Cuzzo says, sorry, I missed the beginning. Jumping is more related to happiness, temporary feeling in the sky.
Okay. I understand. Understood. I think joy, this is Deaconess Pamela Ponton. I think joy, peace, and contentment all go hand in hand. Yes, I was saying earlier, sis, that they were interchangeable. But different, kind of that we use this term, we've all learned it early on, the vesica piscis, where they're two separate entities, but overlapping in a space where they duplicate. And they often are in this vesica piscis because they are similar. They have similar characteristics and are interchangeable. And for those that don't know, again, it's kind of like the rings of the Olympics, the Olympic rings. They overlap, and just take two of them side by side, praise and worship. That would be the vesica piscis. because they cohabitate in the space, but they're absolutely have their own energy and differences. Yeah. But and so yes, deaconess, they do go hand in hand. They're interchangeable. They're
Yep.
hand in hand.
Yep.
But then those hands can separate and do their respective things.
Yep.
Right hand, left hand, connected, separate.
Separate. Yep.
Okay, here you, Pastor Joe. This is Deaconess Cheryl E. Personality profile of the Christ enduring the cross didn't make him happy, but the joy set before him was purpose point. Ruth, where does joy, peace, and contentment come from? I think all of it comes from the Father. The idea that they all exist and our volition also exists is what I get stuck at or focused on to try to make the right choices, to always let wisdom be the principal thing, as the scripture says, and not let anything come before that. So in wisdom, I'm choosing the peace, choosing the joy, to let the joy saturate me. I was using those earlier definitions with it being based on things, happiness being related to or external, dependent on circumstances. Joy is independent of circumstances and it exists. So we can be consumed by it, regardless of how we feel, how the circumstances are. It is consuming. That's why it comes from God. That's why we say, count it all joy, because God already did it. We're more than conquerors. He many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God delivers us out of them all. All and joy are synonymous. Man.
Absolutely. Shout out to First Lady Hardy, of course. Have you hit us in the building tonight?
Yeah.
I think that it comes from God. I think that these are
joy like a river.
Spiritual gifts that the Lord makes available to us, but I think that they also come from perspective. And
how you're looking at it.
Yeah. Like I think most of us, I think we even referenced this, but there was a video that was going around not too long ago of a young lady who received a brand new Tesla, which is all intents and purposes $100,000 car for her 16th birthday. Mom gave her about $3,000 or $4,000 in cash on that same birthday, and when she saw the car, African-American mom, African-American young lady, just to give you some perspective, the young lady was like, I can't believe that you bought me this car. I didn't want this.
I saw that. Yes, sir.
And she virtually threw a tantrum and was like, this is all the money you're going to give me for my 16th birthday. How could you be so mean? Now,
brother, that's a real thing too.
It's a real thing, because this young lady's perspective was that this was not what I asked for. I asked for something very specifically, and I had an expectation that you were going to give me more than I thought. If you were to take that same gift and give it to the average 16-year-old that I teach, that I know, they would lose their minds, right?
Yeah.
Because their perspective is a little bit different. And I think this is what I wanted to kind of say a little bit. I think that one of the reasons that happiness has gotten a little bit of a bad rap, in that it is fleeting and it comes and goes, is that happiness, I believe, is a matter of choice and perspective. And I want to offer to the discussion tonight Matthew chapter 5. The greatest sermon probably ever preached, that we know of, is the beginning of the Beatitudes. That's what we call them down through history. And Jesus goes through these whole things. It says, "Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and say all manner of evil against you falsely, for great is your reward in heaven." Right? Boom, boom, boom. Well, if you do a little bit of study on that word, I'm gonna let Mike be my check tonight. The word there has been translated to blessed or blessed are the poor in spirit, for they shall see God. You know, you've been to Sunday school, right? Yeah. But the Greek word is the same word that we use for happy. And
think I
if you
got that up
think
here
about
in my
what
notes.
Jesus is saying, he's not telling you anything
Yeah,
really
we're gonna go.
that should make you happy unless you have a different perspective. See, if you've got an otherworldly Jesus type perspective, it makes you happy. For example, talking too much tonight, but it's all
No,
right.
no, no, no.
I was in Acts today, the book
Please,
of
sir.
Acts today,
Please.
and
Help me.
this got me today. And y'all just bear with me for a second. Peter and John had just come, Acts chapter 3, told the man, Silver and gold have I none, picked him up, who hadn't walked, almost 40 years old, gave him this crazy miracle that everybody saw, right? They have this power that they've never experienced before because they just came out of Pentecost. On the next couple of chapters, Acts 4, Acts 5, there's a bunch of men, the Sadducees and Pharisees, there's like, shut up, stop preaching in this guy's name because you're going to turn everybody kind of against us. And if you do this, we're going to punish you. And they do. Peter and John actually get beatings from these guys. Now, this is what threw me off. These were the same people that spoke a man's legs to working, yet never stopped the beating that came. Never allowed the power that they have to say, no, you're not going to hit me today, right? And we know they had power legs that had worked for 40 years. So you would they could enact that power to stop it. They did it. Yeah. They accepted the beating, went back to the people, and began to have a shouting Terry service for them being worthy to be persecuted for the gospel.
Good God Almighty.
That's a matter of perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when Jesus lists all of these things, I think that there is a thing that's saying you need to be happy about when things like this happen to you. I think it's very similar to what James is saying when he's saying count it all joy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right. That idea of choice that you have to change your mind.
And that what we always
we always find our place there, it seems like.
Always. This actually was titled Change 2.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is the second one from last week.
Change 2. Happiness versus joy.
Right.
Change your mind.
Change your mind. And I mean, again, if you go through it again, the Greek word there.
What do I know?
They're synonyms. Blessed and happy are synonyms. And it's a different blessed than you see those hundreds of times in scripture. And it's like Jesus was challenging us to think differently about things that will ordinarily make us think negatively.
So it's on what your focus is on.
Right.
And perspective. You ordinarily would see this as a negative, but change your mind.
Change your mind.
To live is Christ, God Almighty.
Boom. Right.
But to die is gain.
Yep.
He was like, what?
Yep.
He just gave you the walk down of man. They had a tarry service after the beating. That is the full breath example of to live is Christ and to die is
because
there's no better example.
What would you have done? You're not gonna put your hands on me.
Stop it.
And then when we go back to the church, it's gonna be Lord, get them. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna have, like, the Bible talks about, like, when they come back and they start praying and all of this stuff, that the room starts shaking. These people basically get filled with the Spirit again because they found themselves worthy to be persecuted. Worthy to be persecuted?
That part. So we say, could we use this also use example? It was good that I was afflicted, unhappy, parenthetically, and then that I may learn the statutes of God, joy overall. Yeah. I think that definitely could be used. Aunt Ruth said, I think that the boys, letting us know that happiness is not without the absence of problems.
Yeah, right. Facts.
The Beatitudes.
Super facts.
I'm assuming Acts 26:2.
You get to that. Our brother's here.
Bashiri.
You know it. The
Oh,
great
yeah.
Bashiri. Come on in, man.
challenging.
We miss you, brother.
Yeah, man.
All right, you gonna read something? I'm gonna
Yeah.
wait for you, then I'm gonna come to his question, comment.
She Karen put in Acts, what is that? 26:2. I think myself happy. You can really stop right there.
Right. Wow.
I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before thee, touching all the things whereof I am accused of the Jews. That's Acts 26:2. I think myself happy.
Yep. I think that the word
Why would we think ourselves another thing?
right is I think the word that we the image that we conjure is blessed. I think myself blessed.
Mm-mm.
And I think blessed and joy are, they coexist.
Right.
I think our uh context of happiness is different a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that when we sometimes think happy, we don't think blessed. We think the fleeting emotional thing that's not joy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
And I think when he's saying that, he's saying, I think myself happy. I think that he's saying, this is a blessing to me. This is energizing me. This is what I live for. This is my purpose. This is giving me joy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The English language is so tricky and tricked up with, and then we bathe in it. we literally cover ourselves and saturate our tongues with this language that's already designed for cursings and enchantments and spellings. I just would like us all to be more mindful of that. What do I know?
You know so much. All right, here we go. God asked Cain for a specific gift. Was God lacking in gratitude when he rejected the gift, or did he have the wrong perspective, tantrum, by virtue of his response? Is his joy frustrated, when he's disappointed? If not, is it maintained because he enjoys being disappointed? Isn't disappointment tied to frustrated desire? If so, how is God ever disappointed if he allows all things?
Well, I say one point to
Go
that.
ahead.
I think that we just said about this joy being external and it existing like truth, and I've likened it to truth. I always kind of try to find the one thing, and truth exists, whether we like it or not. If we subscribe and abscribe to the idea and concept, precept even, that God cannot lie, then he allows, in his allowances and providential godness, he allows you to live with your choice. I think he can be pained from that. I don't know about the frustration. I don't know how to even, because I think that's our humanness trying to put a thing on it, you know what I mean? Put a label on it. But I think he is heavy-hearted, heart is heavy or weighted with that. But I'll go back to the first chapter of Romans where he gave them over. I don't think that's not his desire for the people. But since you intended to do this and you're insisting on it and you stand right here, go ahead and do that.
Yep.
Do we say to God, God, I need you to keep giving me grace. I'm going to use it all up, but just do it anyway because you're God. No. Keep giving me some more mercy. I know I used it up. What? You got to be accountable to that decision you made. Choices. So yeah, I don't know about the frustration part. I know heavy. I would put heaviness in there. I hope that, but I start with the idea that it's given or told or shared, and then that's the purpose. Like we said, joy is attached to purpose. That's the purpose, and if any deviation from that, I think we can make allowances. We should be accountable for what we do for that.
Yeah.
God shouldn't just throw it and save you from that, because then you don't learn the lesson.
Yeah.
We save people from their lessons all the time and call it love and call it protection and call it all these things. Nah, you made a choice go and have the choice.
Yeah.
Prodigal son, prodigal father.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bashir is way smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine with that.
And you smarter than me. So where
no.
am I? I'm
And
way at
so
the bottom.
I always almost find myself with these types of questions, almost always kind of answering them from the perspective that I can. And there is always this mirroring of uh, God as our father and then me as a father.
Mm.
And so I think that, particularly as a father of adult children, um, there are times when they make decisions that are frustrating to us.
Mm.
Um, I'm certain that you probably could attest to this, that you probably could stop or could have stopped your kids or our parents could have stopped us from doing certain things. But it's again like that father thing. It's like, no, this is the expectation. Now you're going to have to make a choice. If you choose to do what you want to do, I'm going to continue to love you. I'm going to continue to have you as my child. But the reality is that you can disappoint me
Mm-hmm.
because I have an expectation of how what I put into you and how you were raised. Um, I was thinking the other day, just kind of having a newborn. My father again was the one who brought this revelation to me, that when we first hear the Father speak out about Jesus, it's at his baptism. This is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. At this point in time, Jesus hasn't really done anything that we know of. His ministry hasn't really started.
Right.
He hasn't walked on water and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But he gets his dad's approval for everybody kind of prior to all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at my son the other day. I was like, man, I'm just like proud that you're even here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And while I'm part of the reason why you're here, but just, and I'm talking to him at 6 weeks old, man, you're doing a great job. What are you doing? He's not really doing anything. He's eating and pooping. But I'm just
keeping you up.
I'm proud of him already. I mean, he hasn't even done anything. Now that pride is going to probably take me for the rest of my life. But if he goes out here and does something crazy, it's not that I'm going to disown him as my child, but I think a standard that says you are frustrating or because there's an expectation. And so I think that when he gave Cain an easy out, a layup, if you do the right thing, you'll be accepted as well. And then Cain decided not to do that. He's allowed to set the standard for what it's supposed to be. And even with that, here we go again. He still protected him and still, cared for him. And, he didn't kill him. He didn't go eye for eye with him because he could have killed Cain too, didn't. But I think there's a frustration when the expectation isn't met, and it should be. And oftentimes, as somebody who I'm certain, has disappointed my parents, and I think all of us probably can say that at some point in time in life, whether you brought home a C minus and your dad thought you were supposed to get an A or a B, it gets a little frustrating when you know to an extent that your child can do better and they don't.
Mm.
I don't know, Jairo.
How long do your
here we go. Here we go.
Parents stay in the disappointed, and when you disappointed their expectation?
See, I think that if there is a genuine, like, you know what, sorry to disappoint you, I'm gonna do better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it relaxes it a little bit. And then
a little bit, that's the key.
Yeah. Because then I think that if you do it again, the disappointment seems to lessen. And then it becomes, oh, this is kind of what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're in it's a different thing. You know what I mean? I would say that is kind of how I am. You know what I'm saying? Like the initial disappointment, you might not understand my expectations. So let me reiterate, explain. And then you have to make a decision now to do better. But then if you keep doing it, then now I have to look at you a particular way, like, oh, this is habitual. You're different. I still have my expectations, but am I going to be disappointed if you mess up again?
That thing that we just saw that was like in line with that kind of about the magic markers.
Oh yeah, perfect.
That was
perfect.
I wish we could show it.
Yeah,
that was very
perfect. I know that. That's
I
great.
think I might be able. While we going, I'll try to show it before we end.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Well, now you can drop the link.
that was that was something
Yep.
special.
All right. Here we go. Questions. Any questions on YouTube? I mean,
Um,
on.
no.
All right.
I
So.
think they're just listening.
All right. All right. Okay. Love y'all. Love you too. Why is happiness and joy live in a place far away from pain? I'm talking about the life we live. Is it not joy, happiness, but pain, or happiness and joy? So does happiness and joy live outside of pain?
Hmm. I think that would be another ring on the vesica piscis,
Yeah.
because you can have pain and still have joy,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I don't know about if I think pain and happiness may be touching but not overlapping,
Right.
because they exist and would be choices. Like we're saying, they're
Right.
external,
Right.
right? And we say, okay, this you hurt me, okay, and now I'm going to choose happiness, external, circumstantially, because the circumstance that you did hurt me, and pain cause pain.
Right.
I have that pain. Now I don't have that pain. I'm going here to happy.
Right. Right.
But I did have
I
pain.
did.
I'm
Right.
not belittling it or discrediting it.
Right.
I had it, and now I'm done with it. It's like grief. Nobody can tell you how long to grieve. Be angry, sin not. Right? How long do you want to grieve? You know, sometimes it'll come up on you, but the consciousness of it, if it incapacitates you, right, then we have to try to, because we're talking about circumstances, change our mind, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Work on that. Work on that. The mind is so, man, it's all of it is in there. All of
It
it.
is. I think happiness uh, or joy can exist in spite of pain.
Mm,
And I think that
mm,
sometimes the pain of a thing, when it is resolved, as the word says, better is the end of a thing than the beginning, can lead you to a level of euphoria,
mm,
which is akin to happiness. Probably, I think,
mm-hmm,
talking about Silas, um, talking a little bit Sunday, that we always celebrate what happened, but we can't just celebrate the fact that they got released without dealing with the reality that they were in real pain. They were
mm-hmm.
really locked up. They got hurt. That couldn't have felt good, right? But they kept a spirit of joy.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that after that situation was concluded, it's like, wow, it's miraculous. It's euphoric. Um, I don't know if you can tap into the euphoria all the time, but I think you can tap into the joy that takes you kind of through it.
Mm.
Bashiri says the scriptural terms are in Greek. Why is the Greek culture revered to the extent that we look through their linguistic lens, exhaustive of God's mind?
Because they took it from some other people. They got most of their things from Egypt, and
Yeah.
Egypt Kemet. So the start of the writing, and we are taught and told that the Sumerians started our order of writing, or our formula, like taking symbols and assembling them to form words. They meant something, like this symbol meant something, a symbol, and then taking those symbols, making them together and becoming something else. But the Greeks took everything they have. Pythagoras,
Thieves.
Plato, everybody talks about it. They talk about it, but we are not taught that. They took it.
Thieves.
And so history is written by the victors, the
Right.
people that win. And so then we have to be mindful to do our own research, study, showing ourselves approved.
Yep. That might be a whole nother TNT
Yeah.
in terms of just how language evolved. But from this perspective, it's really just more logistical. The New Testament was primarily written in Greek, which was kind of the prevailing uh, thought language of the day. Obviously, there were so many different languages um, and cultures. So uh that's what came to us, and they were writing to the people that spoke the major common language. It'd be the same way if you were writing a book in English. That's how it would go. um
Mm. Happy and pain, tooth being extracted, mother giving birth and seeing her newborn. Yes, happy and pain. What makes me happier and is cussing the pain out. Aunt Ruth said that.
Die for real.
Real.
uh can I have joy and be clinically depressed? uh
What is clinically depressed? Because now delusion is sought as being clinically satisfactory. I don't know. I don't know about
yeah,
that.
again, I mean, you probably missed some of this part, but we were talking about Jesus, and I don't think he was clinically depressed. I mean, somebody might say he was, but again, uh you just don't see just this really happy go lucky person. uh i'm a I'm a fan of comedy, which makes me a fan of comedians, and a lot of stand-up comedians are depressed.
Yep.
They live in this world of like depression
Yep.
because they know how to make things that shouldn't really be funny, and it's a very weird place that they live in.
I felt some of that before myself. It's
Well, you've
very,
done it. You've
yes,
done stand up,
it's
so you
very
get it.
real, man.
Right. You've done stand
Very.
up. And so uh some of them get to the point where suicide comes. I mean, we know, Robert Williams, among some other very uh famous comedians that
People always want you to be laughing and make them laugh.
yeah,
And everybody dealing with the thing.
yeah, it's a burden, it's a pressure, and sometimes you do
Man.
that so that you don't have to deal with yourself
True.
and or whatever. And so I think there is a fine line with this whole idea of uh the internal kind of contentment, fortitude that you can have, that doesn't it's not willy-nilly, it doesn't change. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be all happy all the time. I don't think I don't think that's how it has to be. Uh, but you could still have that joy.
Right,
That
right.
yeah. See, for sure, you just echoed kind of
Right.
what I said. That some people would say that Jesus sounds depressed, a man of
Mhm.
sorrows and acquainted with grief.
Yeah.
As humans, we can overthink things in our thoughts or in our philosophy. That's why the Bible says that this mind, here we go, that mind again, being you, which is the mind of Christ, that is through the Holy Spirit. Excellent point, Superintendent Superintendent Woolard. And
I think we all, being black in America, are have a portion of depression. I talk about that all the time. PTSD as well from being that.
post-traumatic slave disorder.
Yeah, just circumstances again, circumstantially.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Depression meaning a low spirit, like low in spirits, low heaviness. Yeah, from circumstances.
Yep. Yeah.
Man, I'm in pain 24/7, but I'm happy. I just went back up. I said I missed that one.
Okay.
Aunt Ruth said that. In pain 24/7, but happy.
We gotta get
Well,
some of
that's
that pain
good.
relief.
Yeah, we do. Let me see, can I get this up there?
All right.
See, can y'all hear it? Uh, um. All right, all right. Here we go. it. Yeah.
Yep. Very good.
So interesting, very much.
Very good. Very good.
Hmm. Man. All right. I don't know how to get back to the other one. But yes.
Clinical depression is oftentimes very, very painful. This is when joy really seems to be hitting. Joy might be somewhere around, but when you are clinically depressed, that pain has everything.
Mm.
But that pain, that's these people that seek to end the pain with
Oh, they said it in
suicide.
here. Oh man. Okay. All right.
Oh, they
I
couldn't
will
hear it?
put it inside the link.
Oh, we're sorry.
Inside of the
Yeah, it's good. It's worth checking out.
it is. It is. It is. It is. I don't know how to bring it to the front. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I will put the link in there, Sister Pam. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Because I don't know why you didn't. I thought we could hear it. We were excited that you all could be able to hear.
Yep. Well, you'll hear it if you click the link.
Yep. I'm going to get it right in a second. Oh, actually, I'll do it on my phone. I'll put it in there. I'll put it right in there. Yeah. Say that, being black in America. Yeah, it's rough in these streets. You think that we will get reparations like California is doing? I think that will make us all happy.
Yeah, it'll make us happy for a little while.
Yeah, I think it'll be temporary.
Until they figure out a way to come get it.
I think you can't trust the people that have always been untrustworthy. That's my first and last on that.
It's interesting because I've had this discussion with a few people, and I would just kind of give it to you. As an African American male and African Americans who was our predominant audience, we know what it's like to be black in America. And many of us, even living in the South, have maybe even a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my question: would you, if you could do your life over again, would you choose to be white?
Absolutely not for me.
Absolutely not for me either.
Absolutely not.
Nowhere in the world.
Not even close.
I'm saying.
Not even a little bit. No. Even with all the hell that we have endured and continue to endure, no.
Every time I've asked that question to kind of us, I don't think that I've got anybody that said yes. I mean, maybe one or two people, but the majority is like, I'm talking about high 90s. It's like, nah, I wouldn't. If I could come back in my life as a white person, I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, brother. We're not doing that. No, sir.
Because there's some joy in you, and you don't even realize
it. There's some joy.
Let me to our brother. Jesus was crucified by the Roman state. He went to Jerusalem knowing his fate. Isn't that low-key suicide by police on Jesus' part? Low-key suicide? Low-key suicide.
Low-key, it's high key.
Well, I mean, you could argue that he says, no matter takes my life, I give it. So you can argue, I mean, if you want to. And the pundits, the theologians will say that he had to take on every sin, of which suicide would have been one. If suicide is a sin, if you want to say that, I'm not doing that tonight. We'll be here for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the scriptures are clear to us. He could have stopped it if he chose to, or could have tapped into the Father to stop it, but decided to surrender because that was God's will for his life. And from what we understand, all of the apostles, given a similar choice, chose to be worthy to die for the cause, which is pretty amazing.
Nobody to have straight hair.
You could do that with some
reparations for sure will pull some happiness out. And she said, no, but I would like to have some straight hair.
Is taking on the sin the same as committing the sin, though he chose to die? That's suicide? Well, he didn't kill himself. That's not suicide to me. But I mean, some people may argue because suicide is when you kill yourself.
But Shiria, it sounds like he's trying to make the point or the case of he knew the imminent ending,
Right.
and so he walked willingly into it.
Right.
Like suicide by cop.
Right. Yeah, but that's kind of not suicide. That's a homicide. If somebody else kills you, by definition, that's a homicide.
True.
Let's think. Queen Latifah in Set It Off.
Set It Off.
She, she smoked a cig and was like, "If I'm going out blazing." But she didn't turn the gun on herself. She took some people out with her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a bad reference, but I don't think that. Again, from a criminologist standpoint, that would be considered a suicide. That's something else. So.
Superintendent responded as well.
Yeah, he endured. We talked about that. That was the scripture. That's our foundational text.
Yep. Yeah, we said that. They're having a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, they talking about hair got life. Woo!
There's a whole.
Nobody said yeah though. I'm waiting. We need somebody to say yeah. We need somebody that look like us to say yes. I would switch with them in a heartbeat.
So then, would that give you happiness or joy? If that's your answer, he didn't die; he laid his life down. Yeah,
that's a good answer.
That is a very good answer. Would joy and happiness be obtained by being white or Chinese? Another nationality. Man.
Well, economically, you're going to be much better off. You will have been able to have lived your life with a sense of inherent privilege for being in this country. You probably would have had more opportunities in terms of your job and your career, even education and schooling. Let's say you were white with the same talents that you have. Like if he was a white himself, that's a whole nother animal. I mean, if Kobe Bryant was white, we just don't understand probably what that would look like. So even with all of these things, you know what I'm saying? Because it's only fair if you can kind of come back with your same level of, talent, insight, or whatever, but in a different perspective. But
do you recall Dave Chappelle being white and going out and and because Eddie Murphy did it first, I believe.
Right, I think so.
Put that on Saturday Night Live. It was very interesting how people responded to them. And they were being satirical, of course, but it was very interesting, a social experiment. Very. I've often said that I would do that just to see.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Great to live it for a little while, just to see.
Just for that.
Just to see.
You mentioned about money, the reparations. That would be temporary, I think. Yeah, make some people temporarily happy. But I'm constantly reminded of people having money not being happy already. They just have it and are discontent.
Yep. I think the only way that true reparations could work for us in America would not just be a check. And I guess that's relative, because if a check is big enough, then whatever, right? But chances are, with the amount of people that we are, I don't think it could just be a check. I think that there would have to be a check and the opportunity to either kind of start from scratch in building our own communities so that we can kind of regulate, police, educate ourselves. I don't think that a check will repair the years. I think that we would have to have the opportunity to kind of build our own schools, our own businesses, kind of in our own kind of enclave, someplace or pockets in this country. And without the fear of significant repercussions, because Black Wall Street is not an isolated event.
That was 100 years ago.
Right. Yeah, but that concept, I was just reading about one that happened, I think in Florida. This thing happened a lot,
Yeah.
where once slavery was over and the minds were leading Black people during Reconstruction, they were actually carving out, places that had hospitals and businesses. Black Wall Street probably was the most well known, and probably the one that got hit the worst. But every single time we were able to kind of show that we can come, the Klan or whoever would do it, even in the smaller pockets. And so I think that there would have to be some type of check. This is just me, and the opportunity for us to kind of build our own kind of infrastructure or something. Because I think if it's just a check, they'll figure out a way to get that check. That's me.
Yeah,
I'm just
I agree.
I mean, I don't know.
I think if we were to get quote unquote reparations, it should be some monetary,
Yeah,
but it
absolutely.
should be land, living space, not to be tampered with ever.
Yeah.
Space. We have roughly, it's over this, I'm rounding down, over 13 million vacant houses and homes. And we're not even talking about land, just homes that are already structures built. And about 8 million homeless.
That's over.
You understand what I'm saying? So, and that's not Black or white. That's just homeless. That's a community problem, an issue of humanity.
Right.
And we are not solving that. Yep. When you get to the Black situation, the situation of people of color in this country, segregation. I've said this. I would have no qualms with saying it. Segregation is better, and being able to police ourselves, provide for ourselves, and protect ourselves. That has to be the thing. There's a promise. Did you see that lady that was going back and forth with me? Nancy Menninger is her name. Nancy Ward Menninger. She's on Instagram. Y'all can look her up. But she was saying that no one living deserves reparations, or the only people that deserve reparations are slaves that were living. Okay. Like who the promise was given to.
Right.
And so she was very adamant about that. She said that money should go to sex trafficking. And I was like, wow. And so we began to have this dialogue, and she was very irate. And she's white. I think that's noteworthy. It's not always a part. This is very specific in this conversation. Mm-hmm. And I just started tagging her on videos and information. She didn't know what redlining was. With homes.
Uneducated.
So I said, why are we even having a conversation? Like, come and talk to me when you learn about this.
Right.
She didn't know what. There were a few things. She had no idea. Right. So I said, you're not worthy to be having this conversation. You definitely can have your opinion.
Right.
But not the full conversation. But land and housing, along with the reparations, which reparations is tied specifically to a promise, and reparations would fulfill an unbroken promise, and the promise was 40 acres, not money, acres and a mule, because then you would be empowered at that time to make your own money and your own sustainability. Right. And I think we're missing that because they have designed, the powers that be, whoever that is, have designed this capitalistic society where we're enslaved to the almighty dollar, and the dollar that has no power, good God, as we move into this digital age, and we're still enslaved to it. So land and housing, or just land. And in place of the mule, you can give us still a mule or a cow, something to work the land, a tractor. Right? And then leave me alone.
Bashiri says reparations for us is unrealistic.
Yeah, it is
depends
unrealistic.
on white power honoring a code that will essentially leave them plundered. It's not going to happen so long as they hold the guns. That's what a lot of people think. They say we shouldn't even be talking about it, but the conversation came up because in California, in Northern California, I believe specifically, they're talking about it in very serious talks that's going to happen in the next few years for uh, their residents up there.
I think personally, and I haven't been talking much about my opinion, but it's a tool for distraction. While we're focused on that, a few other things will be implemented. And just be mindful. That's all I'll say of that. We talked about it last week before last with Perilous Times, and then with Two Americas. So run those back. Those things are distractions. CNN is bringing back President Trump supposedly for a talk show, for a town hall meeting and airing it. People are picking sides and very divided. Black, white, red, blue, just division. It's a distraction for something else. So that is a part of a specific agenda. So we just need to be mindful. Reparations, to throw it in the pot, because I'm with Brother Bashiri, not going to happen. These are the same people who have been untrustworthy, who play on your feelings. And so we shouldn't empower them and allow them to do that.
Reparations will certainly make all of us happy. But if you have joy, you probably should not expect them to come anytime
Man, you
soon.
talking good.
And it shouldn't really sway you one way or the other. Obviously, there is this stuff that's happening I believe in California is got some gas to it. I mean, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? And
But I'm saying them people, if they get it, people in Virginia are going to be mad because they want theirs.
Yes.
Now we have anarchy.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So it's still a tool, this is what I'm saying, for division.
It's a huge tool for division because chances are it's probably never going to come from the federal government as a countrywide thing. You might find pockets, which he's saying, which will probably be the first wave, because a lot of stuff usually happens on the state level anyway. I mean, even good things like Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, it didn't come from the government first. It took a long time. It was states that were saying, no, we should honor this guy. And then there were states that held out, and the government said, nah, we ain't doing that.
Look at Two Americas run that back.
Last week, right?
Last week, man.
Last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Two Americas, man.
Yep.
See which one you live in.
You better live in one that keeps you in joy.
To the republic for which it stands. I gotta sing. I'm supposed to sing the Star Spangled Banner this weekend.
You gonna do it? I'm gonna tell you why I ask you, because I've been wrestling with this, because you and I pretty much feel the same way.
Ooh.
And everybody should feel that way. If you were with it, this wasn't last week. Was this 2 weeks ago?
I think this was 2 weeks ago.
This was Two Americas when
I think
he literally read
2 weeks ago
the words to it, right? And gave you some very
Run that
historical
back,
context, right? And so I was just thinking, pipe and dreaming, like, well, what if I had the opportunity to sing it? I mean, okay, let's not say Super Bowl, because that's ridiculous, right? But let's say at a major event, something major, something that would be considered a great honor, not like a high school game or whatever, but it's something where it's like a lot of eyes or whatever. Like, I wonder, like, I'm asking myself, and I was going to kind of ask you, like, what would you do? I mean, it's kind of like, what do we do with that?
So I'm using the opportunity to be able to have the conversation, afterwards. So yeah. So it is I'm using the opportunity to have the conversation.
Right. So you take the gig, but you use it as a platform for education.
Yes.
Which I think is the
because nobody otherwise wouldn't be able to hear my position.
Right. Because you don't take it.
I'm behind enemy lines. You know what I'm saying? So that's my position.
I think that was mine too. I think that's the win.
Yeah. But you got to hear these words afterwards. You can't run from that part.
Right.
You got to get this part.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so yeah, with some chagrin, I'm going to say.
Well, we support you, brother. It's going to be fantastic. Why do they give welfare? but it's not reparations because we're not the main beneficiaries of welfare. That's
Mm,
why. If we
mm,
were, it'd be over.
mm,
But anyway,
mm.
and welfare is definitely not reparations.
That part
Uh, and I'm gonna be done with this. My brother and I were talking
say as much
just
as you like,
yesterday,
brother. Say as much as you like.
and somebody put out this, and we might need to fact check it. They said that before this New Deal welfare stuff hit America, 78% of Black fathers were living in the homes of their children.
Yeah.
And they're saying that in the last, I don't know how long it's been, 60, 75 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
that has almost changed totally.
Yeah.
That is 78% that don't.
Yeah, I've seen those numbers and what they were saying. I think that is part of a actual.
Bashir is getting us tonight.
What is he saying, man?
He said, "We're a survivor of the Holocaust. Sing a Third Reich anthem."
That part,
That part,
brother.
they might sing but they would sing an anthem to Germany though. Right?
How do you have the
I don't know.
How would Bashiri suggest to have the conversation?
Yeah, how do you go about it? How do you do it?
Because I'm what all of you all know of me, I'm definitely gonna have a conversation, right? But the thing is, how do I have it without engaging?
Right. I think of the brothers, what's his name, John Carlos and the other guy that won in the Olympics and put the fists up with the black fist.
Yeah.
And were ostracized heavily. Some people thought
Colin Kaepernick
it was a terrorist, Colin Kaepernick. But these are the types of people that open the discussion. Even somebody as kooky as Kanye West, if you want to say so, has been over the years. When he begins to talk about the real Shemites and things like that, it's offensive to some people, but it really should be able to open up the dialogue so we can have intelligent conversations. At this point in time in America, we should be able to have a conversation about the source of the anthem and that it literally talks about trampling slaves. I mean, we should be able to talk about that.
Should be. Should and can different.
Yeah.
Erica said, if you had to choose, would you choose blackness or Christianity? Well, I would say blackness because our scope of what Christianity has meant and been introduced to us, right? And I think in our blackness, we already have relationship and covenant and connectivity to nature and the creator. And so we would be innately, we start in that place. But Christianity, to me, particularly in this culture, especially since we're talking about all these things to Americans and stuff, is connected to religiosity. And the fact, even how the question is posed like that, being black and connected to God.
Yeah, like that one is tough because I talk about it all the time. Like I don't even know how to separate the two for real. Because I believe that there is a connection between how I was created and my creator. And as much as I hate to say this because somebody might chop it up, I don't think that necessarily has to be tied to what Christianity has devolved into today.
Okay.
I think
that's close to what I'm
trying to mirror it, bro. I'm absolutely
saying the same thing. What I'm saying, brother.
Because none of the people in the really were like Christians. That's a
and we said that. Oh, we say that all the time on TNT.
Right.
Yeah. So not for me personally.
Yeah.
I want to be black and connected.
Yeah, I'm saved. Hallelujah. I believe in a real God.
Yeah. It would seem, and in Erica's brilliance of asking a very direct question like that, that they in the question, that's why I say the way the question is posed, it would seem that they are not synonymous. They're not, you know what I mean? Like it's an either or. And I can say that I would view it like that from just picking the Christianity side. But picking the black side, if I say I'm choosing blackness, I already got that. Like,
It kind of comes with territory. Kind of comes with
I hope that
territory.
was the answer that I answered
I love it.
it.
We've had this was a garden variety show tonight.
It was.
We
I
stayed
didn't
on
even get all
topic.
to all my
I
notes,
know,
but
right?
it was great.
We'll get to it.
It was great.
We'll get to it. Let me say, this gives us some
I
perspective.
didn't talk enough about me to make
Uh,
sure that people know.
My dad said in his day they had to learn all the verses to the national anthem while attending a school named Stonewall Jackson.
God, dog. Clinically depressing.
Right.
That is
Right. That's right. It's
Man.
weird that we're still talking about discussions the whole world benefit from slavery. True. Still benefiting from it.
still benefiting.
Still benefiting.
Been doing it.
We are all black. Hey, that's interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, we kind of are because we all come from black.
See,
Praise God for this melanin.
everything can come from black. Everything can come from the other people.
The children in my school were telling me, I said I was done, that they kept asking me what was my favorite color, and my favorite color is purple. And they were like, "Well, what's next?" So I said, "My next favorite color is black." And they were like, "Well, Mr. Williams, black is not a color." I said, "Well, where'd you get that from?" They said, "Black is a shade." I said, "Where'd you get that from?" And they told me the art teacher. And I said, "That's very interesting."
Ooh, did you go talk to the art teacher?
I did not. The art teacher is a person of color. She's a very sweet, beautiful woman. I might talk to her just to find out. But I was like, "What?" So what? I said, "Open up your crayon box." There's black. Is white a color? Because black
I'm glad you
essentially
taught. I'm glad you taught.
the presence of all the colors.
You said that though. I'm glad you were in that. I want to hear from the art teacher
Black is a shade.
because all the colors have shades, but they all have a fundamental one base color. Shade.
I might have to get some more context. I don't know what
The
the conversation
shade is dark. The shade, but no, like what are we talking about? Okay, what?
They laugh while the oldest churches in Africa. See, that's what we're talking about, being black and Christian or saved or connected to the creator. It's just what we do. What they gave us isn't what we had. They didn't really give us anything. We already had it
And they took it
and tried to profane it and
Yeah.
change it
and give it back to
and
you.
give it back to us. And we was like, nah, we don't need that.
Nah.
Well, some of us need it. We're weird, but if you educate yourself,
You can have joy unspeakable. Counting it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, different temptations.
yep,
Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. What's faith, Reverend?
the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, is what you believe.
So when your faith is tried,
Yep.
man.
Shout out to my cousin from New York. That's from Virginia. That's from New York. They don't really come down to VA that much.
Yeah.
The great Daryl Neely, a keyboardist par excellence.
My.
Who winning tonight, Cuzzo?
I like
Your
that,
Lakers or your
Reverend.
Golden States?
But let patience have her perfect work. And you may be entire wanting nothing. You still want something. Discontent.
Yeah.
Not content. Man, I didn't get to look. This right here. I had this. Look at these 4 levels of happiness.
Well, we can do part 3.
We might have to go to that, brother.
Oh, you want to do it tonight?
No. I'm
part
saying
3?
Yeah, part maybe.
Yeah, man. I'm
They kinda
all
dictate.
for it. Part 3, let's do it.
Yeah, okay, SAT words. Some people in the TNT sessions. SAT words. All right. Well, we love you guys. It's been an hour and a half.
It flew by. Y'all lucky Bashiri ain't here. You would have really had to pull out your thesaurus.
Man, he got it all right
It's
there
all,
too.
man, it's there. Erudite.
All of it, man. Bashiri, brother, when are you going to be writing your book?
Yeah, man. Write one at least. One or two.
There was, is, and will be so many wonderful people who profess Christianity, wonderful people, but have facilitated so many of world's atrocities.
See, and we should do a TNT on that.
Maybe that's the next one, because change is a part of that.
Yep. Bashir will come to that one. He'll be really
sure.
he'll be good on that one. Because that's a passion of mine.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sometimes I feel like I'm riding that horse by myself and letting it go. But our wonderful brothers and sisters have to get back into this book and connect it to the source. And if they were, I believe that from what I see from Scripture, the cause of Christ would be married to the cause of the African American in America.
Right.
Heavily.
He said, so look, we're going to figure out how to do a Zoom or link you in on
That's
the phone.
all right, man. We'll get you, man.
And we can come there.
That's true.
We rolled up on.
We rolled up.
Yeah.
We mobile before.
We can come there. We're gonna call. We'll work it out.
Man, we'll figure it out, brother.
Yep.
We'll figure it out. Yep. The atrocities didn't start here. Amen. They didn't.
As I said, the Greeks took it early. All right.
Early.
We love you guys.
Love y'all, man.
We need to wrap that, Jane. We'll be keep going.
Well, right. Y'all have been awesome tonight.
Man.
From the first question about tornadoes to the last statement about Samuel, the Stonewall Jacksons.
Yeah.
Y'all are awesome, man. We love y'all.
Make sure you share this link and not the first one. Apologies again. I'm not sure what happened. I'm sure it was me, but share this link and not the other one.
Yep.
Too much going on.
I think I deleted it. So if you have it, just this one is the one.
This is the one. All right. Thank y'all. Aunt Ruth said, let's keep going.
We are next week. Same time, same back channel.
Yes. Tap in, booming. All right. Oh, make sure that you go to I left this up, TNT on the podcast, right?
Yep.
Spotify. And go to Spotify, go to TNT Sessions, and see what that looks like.
Come on through.
I changed the cover art. This is what it looks like right here. TNT Sessions. And so I want you guys to, can I show it right there? Yep. This is what TNT Sessions looks like on Spotify. Make sure you go to it. All right. Link it up. How do I? And go to that. All right. TNT Sessions podcast. Bashir, you definitely can come on that part, brother.
Yes, sir.
Right
anytime.
TNT Sessions. We got 10 episodes up there, Reverend. So far, I got more. I'm working on it.
More is coming.
Greater
is coming. We own it.
All right. Talk to you all very soon.
All right. We love y'all, man.
Yes, we do.
We're gonna boom it out.
Boom, boom, and
boom.
Hey, gotta love it.